we'll start with the
I hope that's not a married woman he's with, because I might have got her in trouble
Gareth,
with her husband.
can we do the programme, right?
Okay.
We can talk to Johnny about whoever's with him in a minute. Now, the big story this week, I think it's the big story, is the possibility of Anthony Joshua fighting in December on the same card as Conor Benn when he takes on Chris Eubank Jr. You may have seen this throughout the course of the week. Chairman of Matchroom Promotions, Eddie Hearn, has been in talkSPORT talking about that on various programmes. He was with Drive a little earlier on this week to talk about the rumours.
Our absolute priority at the moment is to fight Deontay Wilder. And we had an offer from Saudi Arabia to fight Deontay Wilder. We accepted it. Wilder accepted it, but it didn't materialise. So now we're looking at other venues for that potential fight. In the meantime, I said, if that fight doesn't happen till March, we may fight in December. And they said to me, well, when could you fight? I said, there has been talks about a big double header with AJ and Conor Benn against Chris Eubank. But we shall see. That the absolute priority remains the Deontay Wilder fight. And we're all out to make that fight. And he wants to stay busy. He's training now. He's looking at a potential December fight. But if the Wilder fight's not going to happen till spring, he may run out in December as well.
Right. Let's pick the bones out of all of this, shall we? What do you make, first and foremost, of what Eddie Hearn was saying there with the Drive Time guys a little earlier on this week?
Well, I mean, do you want the date he's announcing it as December the 23rd, or should we come to that?
Everything, just everything in general, because there's been a lot of talk since Anthony Joshua's last performance where he managed to get that knockout victory against Robert Helenius. There was chat in the immediate aftermath, Wilder, definitely next. Fair enough, not from Anthony Joshua. From his promoter, Eddie Hearn. Wilder's happening next. That's what we're moving towards. We spoke about it extensively on this programme. Yeah. And now we're obviously being told that is not going to be the case. It's not going to be next. So now we're talking about another fight in the interim to something more significant, maybe in 2024. What do you make of that?
Even Flip Hrgovic, he's mentioned, doesn't he? A fight pursuing Flip
Well,
Hrgovic,
I'll come to that in a minute, but I don't think it'll even
champ.
be that. So what do you make? What do you make of, one, it not being Wilder, and another, what you would class as interim fight before something really significant, and two, the date being on a card of that fight? What do you make of all of that?
Well, let's do the facts first of all. No offer came from Skills Challenge in Saudi Arabia to begin with. So
from the finances, yeah.
From the finances. So the fight between Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, which was a great prospect, collapsed. The money isn't there. And then Eddie Hearn traversed to talk about it potentially happening in the UK or happening in America, in Las Vegas. There was even talk about a fight with Zhili Zhang in China in this discourse as well. So Eddie Hearn's vacillating around what to do with Anthony Joshua at the moment, and what they've come up with in the end is we'll get him another fight that's not one of the top 6, 7, 8 in the world, but we'll keep him treading water and we'll keep him progressing under Derek James, even though he's doing a little bit of work with Ben Davison at the moment, only because Derek James is busy.
Ticking over.
Ticking over, because Derek James, the American trainer, has been busy with Jamel Charlo in his fight with Saul Canelo Alvarez, which we've discussed, in which he was dominated. They're trying to navigate a route for Anthony Joshua to keep his career alive and keep him as a big earner, but keep him progressing towards potential mega fights with the likes of Tyson Fury. That has to be one of the end games for them, because that's still a massive fight. Because if Tyson Fury beats Francis Ngannou, if Tyson Fury beats Alexander Usyk, if they do 2 fights and he beats Usyk twice and Joshua hasn't been beaten again by then, believe you me, that is an enormous fight for a British audience still, if Joshua's had 2 wins in the meantime. But if he's had 1 facile win and he's been sparked out in 5 or 7 rounds by Deontay Wilder, that Fury fight isn't there in the same way. So they're playing the chessboard. They're playing the chess game. The December 23 for me is deliberately trying to scupper the potential of Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk, trying to go up against them, trying to draw a British audience. But I think it's foolish, because that's the fight that people will buy to watch. That's the fight that people want to see, the undisputed heavyweight title. And I don't see Anthony Joshua either on an undercard of Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr., which is also mentioned in that, but I see him maybe, if he puts him on that card, as they're making enough money in the Conor Benn Chris Eubank fight to be able to pay Anthony Joshua on his DAZN deal. That's the way I see it at the moment. They're exploring so many options because that money that $70 million or $80 million that would have been there for Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder in a mega fight under skills challenge in Saudi Arabia just isn't there. The backing isn't there for it, and that's what's happened.
There's two angles that I've got on this. First angle is...
Do you agree with any of that? Or do you...
Yeah, plenty of it. I've got my two takes on this are, right, Anthony Joshua's going through this process with Derek James. He's obviously maybe suffering with confidence or whatever it may be, and he's trying to get himself back to what he once was, all right? Eddie Hearn's doing a lot of talking, and fans listen. And when you're promising fans certain things and guaranteeing them this is what we're doing and this is where we're going, and then it doesn't materialise, fans lose interest and they get fed up of it. I think that talk is doing far more harm than good. Doesn't need to mention anything about we're definitely doing Wilder in December. Fans then get disillusioned and they get upset. Not just with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom and Anthony Joshua's career, but also with boxing in general. They stop believing in the possibility of the good things that they all want to see. So that's my first take on it. My second take on it is, where are you doing the Chris Eubank Jr. Conor Benn fight? Where is it happening? Where's the plan for that? Are you planning on doing that in the Middle East? Because at the moment, from what we're told, it can't happen here in the UK.
So we don't have a big enough stadium indoors to do that in the winter, do we?
Yeah, but will the British Boxing Board of Control allow it?
Well, this is another section. In fact, this is another show because at the moment, I mean, look, I think Conor Benn gets hammered. I think he gets absolutely beaten up by Chris Eubank Jr. at middleweight, frankly, if they do it at middleweight.
Yeah, but
that's one thing.
Yeah, but that's the fight. That's just you talk. That's your
just
opinion
me,
on how the fight plays out. I'm talking about actually putting this fight on. Where are you doing it?
I don't think it'll happen in December because...
So why they promise it? Why are they talking about it then?
Because that's what Eddie Hearn does. He throws the seeds out, doesn't he? And some of it comes to fruition.
Because it's doing more harm than good.
Look, honestly... my sources are telling me behind the scenes anyway that there is a very strong move to try and make Fury against Usyk on December the 23rd, and that will scupper Eddie Hearn's plans because he's not going to go up against the undisputed heavyweight title in the world, and he's happening in Saudi Arabia, and he's also got the problem of Conor Benn isn't. Well, the appeal hearing will take place before December, presumably. And I don't think it's going to be easy for the board to stop Conor Benn fighting because he will probably go for restraint of trade because it's the jurisdiction they've appealed on. We still haven't had strict liability case, have we? As we talked about, so we're blue in the face.
Whatever the
so
situation
it's very
is,
confusing
whatever
whether
the
he gets
situation
a
is,
license or
there
not.
has to be conclusion, mate. You've got to conclude that situation before you can move Conor's career on properly.
In the UK, you're saying now, because he's already fought. Remember, he fought in Orlando.
But he's not commercial value in the States. He's not commercial value in the Middle East. His commercial value here is in the UK.
Yeah,
that's where his British fan base is. So if you're going to put that fight on, I think commercially it makes more sense to do it in the UK. But
you can do it in a UK time zone-ish by doing it.
Fans would want to turn up and watch it. They want to be in stadiums. Nobody's paying what amount of money to go to wherever to go and watch the fight.
Fury fought Chisora at Spurs on December the 3rd, remember?
Don't remind me of that. Right. So
what I'm saying is they still did it outdoors in the winter.
But what I'm saying is there has to be conclusion to the Conor Benn situation. Everybody on this show, and despite what anybody thinks, people want this to stop now, and they want the career to move on, of course, but they want some conclusion. There has to be a definitive conclusion. Whether you're happy with the conclusion or not, it's irrelevant. There has to be that. Then everybody can move on.
He's already fought Adam, so they kept all those issues in the long
Yeah, but everybody
grass.
knows how that all came about. Everybody knows how that came about. Navigation and going round the back door and being able to make things happen.
I was announcing it 72 hours before it happened.
Of course.
And a 3 a.m. time slot in the UK.
So again, like I said, I've got two issues with it. Why promising X, Y, and Z for Anthony Joshua, them not materialising, and then we're going down this route, and then promising X, Y, and Z with this fight when there hasn't been a conclusion. Let's have the conclusion, and then we can all move on, because boxing has the potential to be in a really good place in 2024.
Smoke and mirrors, basically, is what we're talking about, and it's very hard to discern what is going to happen with Anthony Joshua. But I expect he'll be out before the end of the year. There's no guarantee that Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. will fight this year. I don't think there's any guarantee on it because, like you've said, there's so much There's so much to get past. There's so many obstacles in the way, almost chicanes to go through to make that a reality in the UK. And you rightly say that. It's a UK market fight.
100%.
It is a battle of the fathers. It's a
nostalgic
legacy fight. It's a nostalgia fight. It doesn't have any great meaning other than that. And at the end of the day, and it is my view, Conor Benn's never really fought at world level. Chris Eubank has, and is a much bigger man, and the parameters of the fight have changed now because it's not Chris Eubank Jr. boiling down in weight anymore. It's Ben having to come up and fight at middleweight. He's a small welterweight against a big middleweight who's fought some of the very best at super middleweight. They've got to think carefully how they do this.